RecyclerViews are similar to list views, but they're far more advanced. Notice that this is a chat screen of WhatsApp app, and it has a list of chats that a person has recently received, and it indicates their name, their picture, the last message that they sent, the time of message, the number of messages that have been received recently, and the sign that indicates delivery, and much more. List view cannot be used to implement all these functionalities, so we use RecyclerViews for this purpose. Examples of RecyclerViews include WhatsApp, Gmail, and much more. There are so many different functionalities that can be done on RecyclerViews which cannot be done on list views. So in this tutorial, we will see how to implement RecyclerViews from scratch. I'm using Android Studio. I created a new app called RecyclerView, and it just displays Hello World. Before we use RecyclerView, we need to import or compile the RecyclerView library so that we could use it in our code. To do that, I'm opening the build.gradle file of app, and I'm typing compile within single quotes com.android.support RecyclerView -v7 26.1.0. Notice that 26 must be the same as your compile SDK version, and within 26.1.0 is the latest version, so I'm using that. And similarly with RecyclerView, we are going to use something called as CardView, and we will see what CardView is in a bit, but for now we'll just add the dependencies. And after adding the dependencies, I'm going to hit sync now for Android Studio to download the libraries, and we can use the code in our app. Now let's go to activity main.xml and implement RecyclerView here. I'm going to delete the text view and add in the RecyclerView, and I'm going to give the width match parent and then the height wrap content. Let's give an ID to the RecyclerView. Let's call it RecyclerView. Now let's go to main activity and create an instance of the RecyclerView that we just created. I'm going to create a field called RecyclerView and call this RecyclerView as well, and I'm going to get RecyclerView equals RecyclerView find view by id or.id.RecyclerView, and this is the ID that we created previously. Now RecyclerView comes in two different forms. The first one is linear and another one is grid based. So the rows will be rows and columns in that. But now, since we're going to keep this simple, I'm just going to implement a linear layout. So to let the compiler know that, we're going to say RecyclerView.set layout manager new linear layout manager, and we need to pass in the context here. We haven't created the context, so I'm going to do that. Private context, and here we're going to assign this to context. So here we can now pass in the context. But to indicate what data to be displayed in the RecyclerView, we need to create something called as an adapter. We discussed adapters in detail in the previous tutorial, which is list view. In case if you haven't gone through that tutorial yet, please go through that tutorial by using the link that is in the description. Now let's create a custom adapter for us to set the data that is going to be displayed inside the RecyclerView. To do that, I'm going to create a new class and call the class MyAdapter. I'm going to click OK, and since I've integrated Git to push the code for you guys to see, this is showing to me. If you do not have Git, this will not be shown. And the colors that the files are indicated, the blue, green, or red colors that are indicated, correspond to GitHub as well. If you do not have Git, all the files will be just black in color. So we need to extend the RecyclerView's base adapter as we did in the previous tutorial. We're going to say RecyclerView.adapter, and this is going to take in another class called as the View Holder. We haven't created it, so we need to do that. I'm going to say MyAdapter MyView Holder, and it's throwing an error since we haven't created that class yet. I'm going to create that class inside the class MyAdapter, and let's call the class public class MyView Holder, and this is going to extend the base view holder of the RecyclerView. So it is RecyclerView.viewHolder, and when we press Alt Enter here, it is going to create a constructor for us, and then when we go here and press Alt Enter, it is going to implement the necessary methods that we require to implement the adapter. And before we do anything, we need to create a constructor for the MyAdapter, and this constructor is going to take in the context. Let's get this context to a field. I'm going to say this dot context equals context. Let's clean up the spelling mistake here, and when we press Alt Enter, the field is going to get created. Now for something to be displayed, we need to create a layout inside the onCreateView holder, and we need to return the layout here. Let's create the layout that the RecyclerView is going to display, and to do that I'm going to go to Resources, Layout, and right click New Layout Resource File. I'm going to call the layout menu item. I'm going to hit OK, and so this menu item is going to be the layout of each individual row. The contents that are displayed on the row will be later applied by us, but now we need to design this particular layout. Let's see how that is done. So the base layout is going to be CardView. So what CardView is essentially is, it is a card, and that card is going to have a shadow, and it has a lot of different properties that we are going to see one by one. And we want the width to match parent, but the height to wrap content, and we're going to have a couple of properties to the CardView for it to have an elevation. So I'm going to say CardView colon card elevation equals 2 dp, and we are going to say CardView card use compact padding equals 2 dp. Now the CardView is going to form a shadow, and there is an elevation, and this elevation is going to be in the z-axis, and there is padding for us to see the shadow. So when I click Alt Enter, we need to import the res auto, and that gets imported, and this is not going to be 2 dp, this is going to be true, and that's it. We have created our CardView. Now let's create the contents that we want inside. Now I want to display a menu app that has a list of menu items and the price indicated at the end, and we will have a picture of the corresponding menu item displayed. So I'm going to say relative layout, and again the width is going to be match parent and the height is going to be wrap content, and inside the relative layout let's create the image view first. And the image view, the height and the width are going to be wrap content in this case, and let's give an ID to the image view, and let's call this IV item. Now we want some kind of padding to the image view, and I'm going to say 20 dp. Now for testing purposes, let's add in an image from the drawable. So I'm going to say Android source equals at drawable / chicken65. So we're going to use the menu items from an Indian restaurant, and we need to create drawables inside the drawable folder, and let's see what these drawables look like. And when I open drawable, you can see the list of menu items displayed here, and we need to make sure they are named properly. Notice that there shouldn't be any capital letters, but there can be underscore and then numbers. And notice that the size of the images should also be the same. And if you want to get these images, I'm going to push the code to GitHub and leave the link in the description, and you can get these images from there. So let's see how this looks inside our CardView. Can you see the shadow that is displayed? And there's our image that is displayed. Now create another field called text view, and the width and the height are going to be wrap content, and for the ID I'm going to just copy paste it and say TV item, and for testing purposes let's give this a text, and I'm going to say chicken 65, and we need to add padding for this as well. And if we check the design, now these are overlapping, so what we're going to say is Android to end of IV item, which means the chicken 65 will be after the image view. So since they're not vertically aligned, I'm gonna say Android layout center vertical equals true. Now the chicken 65 will be aligned vertically. And similarly, we're going to create a price, and I'm just going to copy the TV item that we created now and replace this with price. And let's change the text to $8.99. This is going to be $, and this is not going to be the end of the TV item, but it will be at the end of the parent. So we're going to say Android layout align parent end equals true. And since this is not aligned properly, I'm going to select all by pressing Ctrl A, and Ctrl Alt L will align the code properly if you're in Windows, and if you're in Mac it will be Alt Command L. And now you could see all the elements are aligned in the way that we want, and we have successfully created our menu item. Now let's go back to the My Adapter and pass in the menu item inside our onCreateView holder method that's overridden. And to pass in the menu item, we need something called as the layout inflator, and I'm going to create that by saying layout inflator li equals layout inflator, and we're going to get it from the context dot get system service, and we're going to say context dot layout inflator service. So we are getting all the system services from the context, and we're getting the layout inflator service from the list of system services that were returned. And now we need to create a view, and we're going to say li.inflate, and we're going to pass in the layout that we just created, which is going to be r.layout.menu item, and it is asking for a root, and I'm going to pass in null as the root. Since this is a MyView Holder type, we're going to say return new MyView Holder, and the constructor is going to take in the view that we just created. Now we need to create the menu items and the price that are going to be displayed, and to do that I'm going to use a string array. I'm going to call this menu, and we need to create menu items that are going to be displayed. So the first item is going to be chicken 65, prawn fry, tandoori chicken. No Indian restaurant will not have tandoori chicken in their menu, and there's going to be mutton biryani, and of course chicken biryani because it's awesome. And we'll have a dessert and call this mango ice cream, and we can close this by using a semicolon, and I'm going to move this to a second line to make it much more visible. Next we need to create the prices for these items, and similarly we're going to use a string array, and we can give whatever prices we want. I'm going to give the price of the chicken 65 as $8.99, prawn fry is going to be $14.99, and the tandoori chicken is going to be $12.99. Mutton biryani is also going to be $12.99. Chicken biryani is going to be $9.99, and for the mango ice cream I'm going to give $4.99. And now we have given the prices. Now similar to the prices and the menu items, we need to create a drawable array so that we could use the drawables. I'm going to say int array drawable equals r.drawable.chicken65, and similarly we're just going to copy this, and this is going to be prawn fry, and the next one is going to be tandoori chicken, and the next one is going to be mutton biryani, and let's go to the next line, and this is going to be chicken biryani, and the last one is mango ice cream. The items in these drawables are the items that are going to be displayed in our recycler view. We need to pass in a count, so we're going to say menu dot length. Since all the three arrays are of same size, we can just pass in the length of one particular array, and that is going to be the count. Now let's customize our MyView holder. To do that, we need to get the fields that we already created, which are IV item, and the two text views, which are going to be TV item and then TV price. Let's press Alt Enter to import the text view. And now we need to get the items by IV item equals image view. Notice that there is no find view by ID. Find view by ID can only be done inside the activity. Since we are outside the activity, we need the view to find by its ID. So the view that we have is the item view, and we can say item view.find view by ID or .id.iv item. And similarly, we're going to do the text views as well. I'm going to just copy the TV item and the TV price as well. We need to change this to text view. And that's it. We have created our MyView holder. Now let's supply items that we created here to the MyView holder. And we can do that inside the onBindView holder method that's overridden. To do that, we're just simply going to say holder.ivitem.setImageResource, and we're just going to pass in the drawable that we created earlier, which is the drawable array, and we're going to pass in position. So each time a row gets created, the position increments. So when the first row gets created, it's going to be 0, and the second row it's 1, and so on. And we can use that value to get the corresponding drawable to set to the image view that is created. And now we can do the same thing for the text views as well. Holder.tvitem.setText, and this is going to be menu, and within square brackets position. And we're just going to copy this and set text, and this is going to be price. Now that we created the myAdapter, we need to go to the main activity and set the adapter to the recycler view. To do that, we're going to say myAdapter equals new myAdapter, and it's going to take in the context, and we need to set the adapter to the recycler view by saying RecyclerView.setAdapter myAdapter. Now let's run this program and see if it works fine. Now, as you could see, the card views have been created with the image view, but there's a mistake. There's something that's happening here. The price items are displayed twice. Let's see why that's going on. I'm going to myAdapter. You're saying TV item for both. So let's change this to TV price. And now if we run the program, let's see what happens. Okay, now the items are displayed fine. We have the image of the chicken 65 and the name, and also the price of the item. And the recycler view is scrollable, and we can scroll through the list. And there is no on-click listener set to this, and it's very easy to set the on-click listener. Let's see how. I'm going to go inside the MyView holder, and we can just set the on-click listener to the item view that we're receiving. I'm going to say item view dot set on-click listener new view dot on-click listener, and when we press Alt Enter, the methods will be implemented, and we're going to get the text that we want to be toasted. I want to toast the text from the TV item, which is going to be the name of the menu. I'm going to say get text dot toString and toast dot make text, and it takes context, and the text that is going to be toasted, I'm going to say press, and it also takes in a duration. I'm going to say length short, and at the end we need to show the toast. And now if we run this, let's see what happens. Now if we click this, chicken 65 pressed, and then prawns fry pressed, and then that applies for chicken biryani as well. And this is all we wanted to learn about recycler views and card views. We will implement these two items in the next tutorial, which we're going to build our food delivery app. I will push this code to GitHub for you guys to access and leave the link in the description. That's it for this tutorial. I will see you guys in the next tutorial. This is Alex Vijayaraj. Have a good one.